if you tuned in late, we're a little late.
And I apologize. It's all on my shoulders.
Senator Moore came in from Boston, and we know what driving in from Boston is like.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
I did it a lot of years, especially coming in from the east. The traffic is bumper to bumper.
Right after 3 o'clock, it just you really can't get any free
No.
time, any leeway in the traffic. It just
No, I
bogs
mean,
right
it's just
down.
unbelievable. I mean, we're a bedroom community for 128 and east.
Well, unless Worcester can continue to grow, bring some more jobs in, then
Well, even then, I travel sometimes. I have to go 146 in the morning. 146 is jammed up.
yeah, 146, 146 to 290. You got 146 in the Pike.
Yeah.
Coming off.
Try to get up on 290 from
Oh,
146.
no, it's backed up, and actually I missed the announcement of it last night, but they also DOT did a announcement of the redesign of Kelly Square,
That I gotta see.
and the way it was described to me is it's kind of like a condensed peanut.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And then
It's
it's,
going to be like a peanut shape. No right, only a right turn from Millbury Street.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, Millbury Street actually, the one-way direction it goes into now heading into the square,
Yep.
they're actually going to change it. It's going to be heading away from Kelly Square, and Harding Street is actually going to be now going into. So they're reversing.
They're going to reverse them.
Yeah, they're going to reverse them. So that makes me, when I was talking to Representative Donahue about it, how does that affect now Quinn Sigmund Ave? Because I avoid 290 in
Yeah.
the morning because of that 146 backup, and I head Quinn Sigmund Ave. So now is that going to cause further congestion now there in the morning? It's,
Well, they've done a great job with Quinsigan Ave.
oh, no, yep.
And it looks great. But then, it comes down to Selper Street, and that, can get pretty congested trying to get into downtown.
No, it does. It really does. So that's what I was getting at when he was describing it to me last night.
Yeah.
How this is all going to impact now the traffic flowing on Quinn Sigmund Ave. So we'll see. But there's been so much effort and resources put into investing in more trains going from Worcester to Boston, and obviously bringing people back, which is I'm supportive of it. But hopefully my long range goal would actually be having more trains from Boston coming to Worcester, bringing people here, or
Right.
having jobs for people to stay here in Worcester so that they don't have to go to Boston.
And Bart, you brought that up. That commuter route is very important. I mean, the train commuter route.
Right.
And I mean, go to Grafton in the morning and see what that parking lot looks like. It's not even, it's too small.
Yeah.
But what about I always said we need a commuter rail running from Providence to Worcester too.
There is actually, for the last year and a half, I'll say year and a half to 2 years, there's actually a private company that's doing all the work into that, the feasibility of it, and trying to get a route up and running. So there is actual work going on to get that implemented.
That would be really good because, I mean, you go 146 in the morning, it's backed up.
No, it is. But again, I guess at that point it would just be getting the public to actually utilize the train. It's really going to depend on how many stops, how long it takes.
Right.
I mean, that's what people complain about with the T to Boston, is the amount of how long it takes.
Well, because, it's making stops all the way in. You don't have, it's not an express run.
No, I think there's only one express run,
Yep.
one now. So, but again, if we can hopefully build enough of an economy here in Worcester, people can actually stay here, find jobs, not have to travel out of the city.
Well, now we got it's a big deal. I mean, it's really a big deal. We got the Red Sox farm team coming in.
Yep.
Well, actually, they're AAA.
Yeah, well, the Red Sox organization's coming into Worcester.
Yeah, I mean that's a big deal. I went down to see the Paw Sox back in April. It was cold. It was freezing. But it was a great game. The only thing is, and that stadium is out of date, McCoy.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they're coming here. But I was amazed how many place was packed.
Yeah, the stadium's supposed to. I think it's going to be built to 10 to 12,000 people. It's going to be obviously the stadium for the team, but it's also going to be an entertainment venue. So there's going to be more.
Well, they do that now with all the stadiums.
Yeah, so I mean, so I think the goal is to have concerts, other shows,
Right.
have other activities going on there. So, which will continue to hopefully stimulate all um, the shops and businesses
Now,
that will
the
sprout up.
widening and the nice work over they did on Quisigan Ave is going to be a big help.
Yep. And actually, the Wyman Gordon property that's there, that parcel of land that has roughly, I think the estimate's $13 to $14 million or $15 million worth of hazardous waste sitting on the site that
I know.
that now will hopefully be cleaned up, and well, actually, well, hopefully it will be turned into now a useful part of the economy
Right.
there in Worcester. And they're going to, part of the plan is bring in, I think it's 200 market rate housing, so mixed use market rate housing and retail shops in there.
Yeah.
So the plan itself is comprehensive, and it's not just going to focus on, I mean, obviously the Red Sox or the Worcester Sox are the main.
The Woo Sox.
I'm hoping it stays with the Worcester Sox. Everyone's going over that. No, just think about it. You want Worcester to be branded,
Right. Yeah.
So,
You
but
know
you-
the name Worcester.
right? So if everybody starts calling it the Woo Sox,
Yeah.
I mean, as it is, people say Worcester, Worcester,
Worcester.
Worcester.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
it's
no
just got-
H in there, but they pronounce it that way. Well, same thing happens here. Whitensville is always pronounced
Whitensville.
Whitensville.
Yeah,
But you know, unless you're from here. But that's true all throughout Massachusetts. We have people don't, if they're not from here, they don't pronounce the names the way we do.
well, this is a good opportunity now to
Yeah.
get the brand out there, and we got the airport
Yeah,
that's doing well. We've got a third carrier there.
I know.
going to
That's
Philadelphia,
amazing.
which is trips to Philadelphia, and that's my understanding. Those trips are being those trips back and forth are full. So
Last time we went to Florida, we went out of Worcester Airport. I love it. I've done it in the past. I like it because it's an easy terminal to get through.
yeah,
It's because there's not a lot of people there, so it's quick. And you come back, you're right there. Your car's right there. And let me tell you, the parking is a lot less than it is at Logan.
yeah. The last time I went to New York, I had totally forgot about Worcester Airport having the flight there. And when I got to New York, some people were talking about it, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
yeah.
it's a little more money, but it's worth it.
But eventually, if we can get enough carriers, enough routes in there,
Your price will come down,
the price
right?
will come down, similar like TF Green or Manchester or
Yeah.
and the amount of flights that are coming in and out of Boston, and those other airlines, those other airports, I think you ought to continue to see it. I think long term, the issue we're going to have eventually is getting back to the access road.
Yes.
We'll have to see eventually when that boils
That
up.
has been a problem from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how you put that, you're going to get someone who's going to be upset.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have, it's going to be takings. But how else can you get in there? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, as it is now, I think I was told yesterday, 200,000 people a year, 250,000 people, so that are now coming into the city that wouldn't have been before. But if you can imagine that access road being placed in there and actually having that double or increase by another 10 or 20, 30%.
you know, an access road that comes right off of 290.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, of course, you could connect from the Pike easily then, and
Yeah. Well,
146.
there's been some local leaders in Leicester have talked about trying to get an access road coming in from the Pike through Leicester that way,
Oh,
and they come into the back way. But obviously, to do that, you'd have to come in off the Pike. I think you swing through. We have to cut through Oxford, through a couple of neighborhoods in Oxford, then in through
Yeah.
Leicester. So that would affect more communities. But I think eventually, if the traffic continues to grow, there's going to have to be some sort of.
well, there's no two ways about it. I mean, the access to get up there is a problem.
Yeah,
It's a long climb up that hill.
it is. Yeah.
And what else can you do? I mean, that's the way it is. They did a great job with the industrial park and that entrance in from, what was it, Route 9. But still, you got to go through the city or through neighborhoods, through town to get there. There's just no direct route.
They had talked about doing like a parkway before, so you'd be able to maintain some of
Right.
the neighborhoods and the houses. so residents wouldn't have to be taken. But again, you're still gonna have, it's one of those people that would be living on the parkway are going to be happy having the increased amount of traffic.
Yeah, because then you can't, it takes you forever to get out of your driveway.
Yeah.
I mean, you're close to that with Mill Street. But still, and those people don't like it the way it is there.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that it's a great place for the radar car to set up because everybody thinks it's a highway.
So there's additional revenue for the city coming in.
Yeah. They sit there all the time. I can understand why, because it's really, I think it's 25 miles an hour, 35. But people are doing 40 and 50 through there because it's double lanes.
Yeah. It was actually funny, I was driving my son back yesterday from school, and we're going through a school zone. And if you think of the speed limits.
Yeah, you could drop down to 20.
And like he's only 14, but he was like, why are you going so slow? If you think about the speeds people drive at today, then when you actually go at the
it feels slow.
Oh, it does feel slow, yeah.
But there again, if you drive by at 30, you drive at 30, you feel like you're not going that fast. If you're standing on the curb, it looks like they're really flying.
Yeah, yeah.
And I talked to police about that. They say, yeah, you really don't realize it, but 30 miles an hour looks fast when you're standing still, which is, half of a mile a minute. Mile a minute is 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But back to the Power Stadium, they're going to call it. Yeah. Now, is there going to be some land taking as well? Because if they're going to build the housing, are they going to start taking some of the land, the building businesses on Harding? And
I would think they'd have to have some land taking in that area. My understanding is there's not going to be any land taking as far as the redesign of Kelly Square. The Mass Highway director I was speaking to yesterday was telling me there's 19 engineers working on the redesign of Kelly Square.
That could be good and that could be bad.
Yeah, well, the main issue with the redesign is the time crunch. This has got to be completed by 2021.
Yeah, because that's when that place is going to be ready to go.
Yeah, so I mean, the Red Sox, their contract ends with Pawtucket, I think at the 2020. So this has got to be up and running. The only thing that would scare me about meeting the deadline is Worcester's an old city.
Yeah.
You've got the old canal that runs through the Kelly Square.
Right underneath there.
Yeah, and as we were talking on Quinn Sigmund Ave, when they were putting the new RTA maintenance terminal up there, we ran into additional contamination problems that we had to come up with emergency.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a mess. But that was the old gas works.
Yeah, but this is where though, being an old industrial city.
Yeah.
What else is under that ground that we may not know about? So that's the only thing that would scare me or have some concern about.
Well, they closed up the canal because it stunk so much because they were dumping all kinds of stuff into there. Back then, you had the U.S. Steel and Wire and everybody else. There were no regulations.
Right.
You had scrap, dump it in the river, let it flow down.
Yeah, everyone thought that it just washed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's why they closed up a lot of that canal.
So that's a good question. I wonder now with the reconstruction that's going to be going on of the canal. I mean, of the square. How that's going to impact because right, the canal does go underground right now. It's encased.
Yeah.
So how that's going to be impacted?
I think it goes right down Harding Street.
Maybe. We had we actually have the end of the canal. We have Saturday morning is going to be the ribbon cutting for the Blackstone Valley Visitor Center.
Yeah, it ends right around there, doesn't it?
Well, yep, right at when you walk to the end of the Visitor Center, and they have a nice patio area. We can look out, and you can see over the I was going to say, I don't think anyone many years ago would ever say the beautiful view of the Blackstone River and all that, but you can actually see the remnants of the canal, the entrance to it, or the exit to it.
Because the river also goes right through there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the Blackstone River starts over by, was Martin Luther King MLK Boulevard now, was formerly Central Street.
And is it Middle River, that merges with it?
Yeah, it merges in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that empties out from Webster Square.
They have, I'll tell you, if anyone gets the opportunity after the Saturday for the ribbon cutting, they have set up a walkway that stretches a half mile into the river, along the banks of the river and over some of the swampy areas.
Oh, yeah.
You would never even think that you were in the city of Worcester. It's just very scenic. It's quiet. It's really takes you back into to nature that you would think that you were out in the suburbs.
Yeah, I mean, we don't realize what the, you know, when they, actually when they put the surge, I know a little bit of history about this, because I do a lot of reading on it. When they first connected sewer into Worcester, what they did is, Worcester's built around Seven Hills.
Yep.
Known for that.
Seven Hills.
Yeah.
City of Seven Hills. Yeah.
Yeah, like Rome.
Yeah.
Well, what they did is that all the big manufacturers, the guys with the money, they had you'd see their mansions are all built on top of those hills, all around.
Okay. That I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah, like you go up behind the Memorial Auditorium, the old Worcester Auditorium,
Yeah.
the Lincoln House.
Yeah.
He's one of them right there.
Okay.
That's one of the ones that are still standing. There's another one right off of Main Street. I can't think of it. It's a restaurant now.
Oh, Bull Mansion.
Bull Mansion, yeah. There's
Yep.
another one. And they're all like that. And the reason they did
Where was
that,
the Grafton Hill? Where would the?
I don't know. I know there's something up there. It probably got torn down, you know, over the course. But what they did is they ran the sewer lines right down to the river.
Okay.
So when they flushed their toilets, it went into the river. And who cared?
Yeah.
And that's the reason it got so smelly, especially when you got down by the South Works, they had to cover it up. And that's why it went underground. Of course, the canal wasn't being used anymore.
I guess if there ever was going to be an initiative, I know the city or some of the local business leaders have talked about trying to reconstruct the canal.
I know.
Um,
I don't think it's ever going to come to
no,
fruition.
the estimated cost, I think it was like $18 million. But I guess, in theory, if there were to be a time, this actually would be the time
Well, yeah,
to do it.
but to reconstruct it, you'd have to eliminate a whole street.
Yeah.
Which is probably Water Street or Harding Street, wherever. I'm not sure exactly where the canal. I think it's on Harding Street.
Yeah. So that would be yeah. So all that traffic. Well, that's going to be one of the things that I fully expect over the next year and a half to having to be work with the neighborhoods, is that everyone's all excited about the redesign and this stadium coming in there, but a lot of the businesses on those streets, they're going to suffer some loss of business.
Yeah.
Because of all this work going
Oh,
on.
no doubt about it. I mean, the thing is that if you look at that area, that was designed for horse and buggy, not for cars.
But you know, it's and the city was telling us when we had a private tour of the visitor center last week that the Kelly Square intersection has roughly 400 accidents a year. It's one of
Yep.
the highest in the state. But now, I mean, I know we had a death there from a truck that did something, but you know, the amount of times I go through there, I haven't seen any accidents. But it's
Right.
I was kind of sad. I know Kelly Square, the design of it and how it is, but it's always been like a rite of passage. When my daughter she just got her license last year.
Great way.
I was taking her through. They were all different
It's
directions.
a great way to learn to drive.
Well, and I said that to her. I
Yeah.
was like, you can make it through here.
Yeah.
You're all
Exactly.
set. And we had to go through that, and now it's going to be gone.
I think people really are conscientious when they're going through there, and they're worried. They're looking every direction, more conscientious about it than if it wasn't like it is.
But and I agree. But I think and this is where I do understand the philosophy of having to change it. If you're going to have 8,000 to 10,000 people from outside the area
Yeah.
coming in,
That don't know
that
it.
don't know it, it's going to be massive confusion. And when we all get there, we know that okay, you got to be a little aggressive, but you got to.
Well, another thing too, you got an exit right there from 290.
Yeah.
If that wasn't there, that wouldn't be as congested. Now you're going to need it. But I know when they built the expressway, and when they were building 290, going back, this is going back quite a ways, one of the things was the state senator, I forget his name, I think it was Foley at the time,
Dan Foley.
Dan Foley, insisted, because the city wanted it, all the number of exits they have in the city. Because there's a lot of them for what's supposed to be a highway, a bypass.
Yep.
And that brought a lot of congestion, but it also brings traffic into the city.
It brings business.
Yeah, and that's what you really want to do.
It's funny because the mornings that I've been frustrated and I forget about the traffic on going from 146 to 290, and I've got that backup, and I sit there and I complain about whoever designed this, and I'm going to qualify this, it was done before I got elected, so I sit there, I'm like, no, they should have planned for the future, the growth,
Yep.
but then just as you're saying, then, and I catch myself doing it, I end up going down Quincy Ave,
Yep.
I go right into the city. So in some ways you wonder, did they design it that way to steer more traffic into the city of Worcester?
Right, well, there again, Brosnahan Square wasn't really designed for that.
Right,
Now it's done right.
yeah,
And it works out great. If you're heading to Webster Square, it's easy. If you're heading onto Southbridge Street, go downtown, it's nice and easy to go right down that way.
you know, actually Worcester, I know we're doing all the talking on Worcester right now, but there was,
Well, we have a lot of people that travel to Worcester on a regular basis.
NPR just had I don't know if you saw the story. They talked about 3 of the high-cost cities for real estate: San Francisco, Boston, and might have been New York, and how an hour away from those cities, the 3 growing cities right now, top 3 in the country. One of them was Hoboken, and the other one was Worcester, and there was one out by in California. That there was this nice story that this is one of the places to be right now.
Right, because of the high rent in those cities nearby, and they're within commuting distance.
Yeah.
I mean, today, the average commute today is an hour.
But again, hopefully, this will mean more businesses locating
Right.
in the area.
Well, if people live there, it brings business in because you bring business in to serve those people.
Yeah, there was actually and I don't know if the old Unum Insurance building on
Yes.
Chestnut Street, right near that Bull Mansion.
Yeah.
It was just sold, and this is how we were talking about this the other night in a comparison of the cost of real estate. This huge business building in Worcester sold for $1.9 million.
That is a huge building too.
In Boston, you're buying condos for $1.9 million.
Yeah, I know.
So to show the disparity in costs.
Are they planning on converting that over to residential?
I think that's part of that was some of the conversation. The one other building they own on Main Street, the Commerce Building.
Yeah.
Or just next to the Commerce Building, I think it's 340. They're actually putting mixed use. They're going to have apartments on top, market rate, and then they're actually going to, on the first floor, they're going to be putting in, they're going to have a little grocery store in there. They're going to have some other stores, which I think the more of the residential opportunities on Main Street or in the city is going to open. You're going to need to actually at that point put more commercial or small shops or businesses.
Well, you bring the people into. There is a demand. Younger people want to live in a city.
Yeah.
At one point, it was the other way around. They wanted to get out into the suburbs. Now, you got young people. They're getting married later. While they're single, they like living in the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is good. I mean, Worcester was a ghost town for a while. I mean, even the McDonald's closed.
Yeah. God, I'm going to go back to when the Worcester Galleria was first constructed.
Yeah.
And I can, just when I was a kid, I can remember my father complaining that that's going to kill Main Street. It's going to.
And it did.
And it
Well,
did.
the businesses that were on Main Street moved into the Galleria.
Right, and it left all these vacant shops.
Yeah.
And now we've knocked it down, and we're seeing a gradual rebirth of hopefully Main Street and getting some more business. But if you look at the city, the city of Worcester has had to deal with the growth of the economies in the suburbs.
Right.
Years ago, everyone when they wanted to go shopping,
You came into the city.
came into the city. Now, if you look at the city of Worcester, it's basically surrounded. You've got the Blackstone Valley, you've got the shops at the Blackstone Valley. Now you've got that plaza that's just opened up in Sutton.
Yes.
Market Basket, is it Market
I
32?
know, Market 32.
Yeah, Market 32. Then now to the west of so to the east of the city, you have the Salmon Pond Mall out in Northborough.
Right.
Then you've got the Auburn Mall,
Yeah.
the Leominster Mall. So it's basically surrounded.
Actually, the Auburn Mall really killed the Galleria. Because,
Yeah, I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it was a combination of it or.
yeah, but what the thing is, you can go to the Auburn Mall and park for free. Galleria, you had to pay. You had a long walk to get in there. People like to drive their cars.
So, it's actually funny that the Auburn Mall now has had, and they're trying to revitalize it, but not with our retail.
No, I see they're bringing the Fallon Clinic in
Yeah,
there.
Reliant Clinic's going in there.
Yeah.
So they're trying to bring some actually medical companies in there. And one of the problems that they found, and hopefully this will never happen to Northborough, just because of the size of it and its location. But when they were building the shops at Blackstone Valley, I was on the Board of Selectmen in Millbury, and at that point, we were asking, why aren't you building an enclosed mall? And
Those are obsolete now.
well, just like you had said, they said if you look to go down to rent the mall, because it was the same developers,
Yep.
by having an open space mall, you don't have the loitering that you have inside the malls.
Right.
So, and you're still gonna have some in the summertime, but not to the degree that you have when you have the enclosed malls.
Right. Yeah, because,
And then you get the free parking.
Right.
So,
and people can drive up almost drive up to the store where they want to go.
right,
Because you don't always want to go in a mall, and you don't want to go to the whole mall, you just go into one particular store. Well, you gotta park, and then you gotta walk through, and,
well, I was laughing the other day, but we were talking about the parking now in Worcester, because I had to get to a meeting and I couldn't find any parking, and it's actually, we were talking about the mindset of people from the Worcester area, that when we go to Boston, everyone knows that you're gonna have to pay an expensive amount of money.
yeah,
For parking.
really expensive.
And I catch myself doing this all the time. But when you're driving around the city of Worcester, you expect to get that meter, or you expect to get that. You don't have to. You say, I'm not going to pay that $10 for parking.
Exactly.
But when you go to Boston, oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, Worcester, it's never been a problem.
Right, but it's now parking
Things
is
are going to change, yeah.
Yeah.
That's something you got to take in consideration with the stadium, too.
Yeah, in Boston, that they actually, because it costs so much for parking, realtors actually even sell the parking spaces on the street.
Yes.
And and for the price of housing out here.
I know, it's unbelievable. You can pay as much for, over on Beacon Street,
For
or
one
in the
parking
Back Bay.
space, yeah.
Yeah, you can pay as much as you pay for a house.
Yeah, yeah,
I know, this many years ago, I'm going back to the 70s, and a guy I worked with, he was a big baseball fan. He loved to go and watch the Red Sox. He would go in, he would try to get one of the gas stations. He'd say, look, I want to leave my car for an oil change. Just so he could leave it there to go to Fenway.
oh, it's a good idea.
And they said, no. We charge you $20 and you can park your car here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, and it's worse now.
Yeah.
In
Oh, no,
fact,
if you-
a lot of people will take the T in. You can pick it up in Newton or something like that. You got the parking areas up for the T.
Yeah, and he gets right off at Causeway Street.
Yeah.
Not Causeway.
Kenmore Square.
Kenmore Square, thank you. Causeway's the Boston Garden,
Right. That's the north end.
North End, yeah.
Yep.
TD North.
If we go to, if wife and I go into Boston, that's what I do. I don't want to drive into the city because, number one, the parking costs you a small fortune.
Yeah.
And you got to deal with the traffic.
Yeah.
It isn't worth it. So,
And if you're gonna go other than the Faneuil Hall, where you want the outdoor, that type of atmosphere, or, the shopping out here is gonna be more, it's gonna cost you less.
right.
Everything, the costs are gonna be higher.
Oh, yeah. It's going to cost you a lot more. It's just, Boston can be a fun city to walk around
Yeah,
on a nice day. I don't want to go there in the winter, but,
no, I'm with you, I'm with you.
you know, we just walk around, and especially around the Faneuil area and around City Hall, Government Center. It's nice. It's a nice little walk.
No, it's a beautiful city, and uh, I've surprisingly, when I first got in office, I went to a Red Sox game with my a friend, and he met me at the State House, and it's only like a 20-minute walk from the State House to Fenway Park.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because you're right there in the back bay.
yeah, yeah. You don't think about how big the city is, but also how small it is. Also.
Oh yeah.
And the worst part is being an older city too. If someone were to call you up for directions, it's so easy to say, okay, walk down here, take a left, go down 3 blocks, do this. But there's so many one-way streets. They actually, if you had to tell someone how to get there by car, is the difficult.
That happened to me in New York. I got an old Army friend lives in Brooklyn, and I was down in New York with my oldest son. We went down to see a show down there. So I was down there. I called him up. I said, "Hey, I want to come over and say hi to you, Steve." He goes, "Oh, okay." So I get to his house. He's not in. I call. I had one of those bag phones back then. How long ago this was. So I called him up. He worked at the SUNY Medical Center.
Okay.
He says, "Oh, I'm working today." It was a Sunday, but he had to work. He ran the lab. He says, "Come on over." I said, "Well, how do I get there?" So he tells me, so I'm driving over. I'm going down the street. My son says, "I think you're going the wrong way." I says, "No, I'm going the way he told me." He says, "No. The cars are coming at us." I said, "Oh my God, I'm wrong way on a one-way street." So I finally got over. So he gets over there. I said, "Steve, you sent me down the wrong way on a one-way street." He goes, "I never thought of it one way. I never take a car. I walk."
Yeah.
He didn't even own a car.
Well, that's what if you go to some of I'm going to say some of the newer cities, like Denver, some of the cities out in the West. There's a better layout or design.
Well,
of the
they were
traffic
able to
flow.
make them bigger.
Oh, bigger, but they also designed it properly.
Yeah, because they could lay it out that way.
Yeah.
I mean, New York has a nice design because it's all avenues and streets, and it's pretty much laid out. Boston is just like a patchwork.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, if you
It's cow pats.
try driving on Beacon Hill, try down
Oh, I
some
know.
of those roads.
Yeah, I mean, like Milk Street and
Yes.
that's
Yep.
that's a cow path that they paved. Yeah, it is it's tough to get around and you can get lost so easily.
Well, one thing my father always told me when in Boston, if you think you're lost, just look for the Pru. Use the tower.
Yes.
The Pru as the gauge.
Yep. The Pruitt of John Hancock.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
I had to go to Boston a few years back. I was selling rubbish carts, and I had to make a delivery out to the port where they bring all the fancy cars and the BMWs and the Mercedes.
Okay.
And it's over in the north end. And I'm following my GPS. I'm going up and down these hills and side streets and everything. Thank God it didn't put me on a one-way street the wrong way, because they do tend to do that.
Well, I thought they navigated you away from one ways. That they.
Well, you had no choice,
Okay.
because you're in neighborhoods now.
All right.
And sometimes what happens is they put one way, they make them one way all of a sudden, and doesn't get updated.
Okay.
But I found it anyway. But oh my God, I said, I don't know where the hell I am.
Yeah.
Because Boston is a city of neighborhoods.
Well, so is Worcester.
Yeah,
Wor-
Worcester is a city of
And
neighborhoods.
I think that's one thing that's been one of the, I guess, roadblocks to its economic growth, but maybe one of the reasons that it's maintained its small town.
It's a city of three-deckers.
Yeah, yeah, but it's also it's a big city that's a small town.
Right.
Everyone knows each other.
Yep.
The form of government is still. It's not a strong mayor form like the city, like the other major cities you have. You got district councilors rather. You got a combination of a district councilor who does
And
the
a
neighborhood,
district and at large.
and then at large.
Right.
So there's always that constant battle between the district councilor who's protecting the neighborhood, then you've got the councilor at large who's looking
Right.
at the overall growth of the
Right.
city. So
Yeah, so you got a guy you can go to is, okay, we got a problem in the neighborhood.
right, yeah,
And then even your state reps represent more or less neighborhoods.
yeah. So I'm trying to think now. You got the 17th district, which was Kate Campanelli, was originally John Benenda, now Kate Campanelli, who's leaving.
It went into Leicester, but it more or less was the south end.
Yeah, well, Main South area.
Yeah, Main South.
Main South area. Then you have Dan Donahue, who has Quincy Village and Grafton Hill.
Yeah.
And Vernon Hill.
Yeah. So here again,
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of breaks down that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it'll be interesting to see the growth
yes.
of the city. What's going to happen now, population-wise. And then there's going to be the spillover into the suburbs.
Oh, well, that's happening now. I mean, you take Northbridge alone, in 10 years we had tremendous growth. We're up to 15,000. I remember we were almost stagnant around 10,000, 12,000. It wasn't even growing that fast. And boom, it just shot right up.
Yeah.
Because people coming in here and building houses.
I think with the growth in population for the Blackstone Valley occurred when you had the 146 exchange put in.
Yes.
That's when you saw a big growth in the census.
And we're starting to see some development there too. I mean, people are looking at the area.
Yeah. Well, again, it's as the city grows, you're going to have land outside of the city is cheaper. You know, that's one thing the city's still dealing with right now. 30 years ago, I think it was when Jordan Levy was the mayor, that they went to the dual tax classification.
Yes.
And the Worcester and the town of Auburn have been struggling with this, trying to get back to a single rate.
Oh, Auburn's got a dual?
Yeah, Auburn's got a dual, and they had a big decline in their
In businesses.
their economic growth for a while. Actually, they saw a loss, and now the tax rate they've been able to stabilize. It's still separate. They've been able to stabilize the commercial rate, so they've actually had some substantial growth. But that's one thing that the city of Worcester's been dealing with, is trying to get it closer.
See, there was talked about in Northbridge, and I'm against it, and the selectmen are against it, and I said, I'm on a planning board, and the reason I'm against it is you don't have enough business and industry to offset it. They would have to have such a high tax rate. And now you discourage them from even locating here. Or if they are, they're gonna look to move out.
Yeah, when I was on the board in Millbury, we went to a separate rate 1 year. And the only reason we did was the assessors came to us, and the assessed value on the properties there was such a differential between the commercial and the residential that we did it to try to balance it. But even when we did it, we still made sure that the commercial rate was actually still lower than most of the surrounding towns.
Right, yeah, you can do that.
So then the following year, we went back to the single rate.
Yeah. To me, it makes no sense. You can't possibly get that much development. Worcester at one time did.
Yeah.
But see, it's starting to change on them. And so what happens, eventually, you're gonna have to raise what you charge the residentials.
Well, and that's basically what the problem they're having now is to hold the commercial rate where it is.
Right.
To bring it back in line, you got to increase the residential.
Exactly.
And the residents obviously don't want to see theirs go up. They want
Right.
the businesses to pay it.
Yeah, but if you raise the businesses, they're gonna move out.
Well, that's the problem. But now, because the costs to the east are so high,
I know.
it's actually helping out still. It's still sending some of the corporations out this way. And
But
people out
you're
this
still
way.
seeing some growth in that Metro West. I mean, Marlboro is doing tremendous.
Oh yeah, Marlboro, Framingham, all those
Yeah.
areas. Yeah. But it's, I for years I've always, and I'm not a developer, but I just could never understand why the business community had not seen the value in the property out here in Worcester. But I guess it just took this point to Boston to get so high that.
Well, I think one thing we have to look at in the valley, from a planning perspective, because I've been on planning, I was on 15 years, I got off, and people decided they wanted me back on. They did a write-in campaign and stuck me back on. And so I got some experience in it. We don't have any hotel accommodations out this way.
Yeah.
There's some in Worcester, but even that's short.
There's no function halls either.
No,
When they were, when the discussion on the possible slot parlor was going on in Millbury, that was an issue that Gene Hebert from the chamber,
yes,
when we met with the potential developers, that was something that was talked about, was that the business community, or that there was no hotel, there was
Yep.
no function hall capacity in the valley.
yeah.
So those were two aspects that were actually.
And with a
looked at.
hotel, you can get the function hall as well, because a lot of hotels do that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we don't have either one. So-
Well, actually, City of Worcester, until recently, they just now with the AC Marriott, again now have a hotel with a function hall.
Yeah,
Other than that, the only, on Main Street, in the City of Worcester. Other than that, all you had before was the Beechwood, and that was on the far end over by the hospital.
right. Well, we had the Crown,
But that closed.
that closed, yeah.
Yeah, at one point, there, for many years now, there's been no function hall capacity, or, in conjunction with a hotel, you had Mechanics Hall,
Yep.
but that was such a large and expensive venue, there was nothing for the small or medium.
Well, a lot of businesses like to have a place where you can stay, have your function,
Yeah,
and your overnight stay right there in the same building. Makes it much more convenient. You don't have your people walking or roaming all over.
right, having to get lost in the city.
Right.
Yeah, no, you keep them right there, so, yeah,
You know, because you got a good function facility with the DCU center,
yeah,
but you need hotels.
yeah.
You know what else? I mean, I've been there for conventions. There's no breakfast place around. There might be now, but I know one time, it was, the only guy was over on, can't think of the name of it, with Waldo Street. It was a place, he closed down in the morning because he couldn't take the crowd anymore.
Well, you've got the one in Shrewsbury Street, the Parkway, and right across.
But I'm talking right near the DCU.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm just trying to think. You got the Parkway, then the right across the street from the Parkway. Then you've got the
Yeah,
one
but
at
that's still a good walk.
Then you got the one by the fire station that.
Yeah,
had
but
burns.
that's a good walk from the DCU.
Yeah. Then you've got the one off of Southbridge Street, the old.
Here again, you still got a good walk.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. There isn't a breakfast place there.
Right near the DCU.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how it could be supported year round. That's the thing. You can't rely on it when you have a convention, because you don't have that many.
Yeah.
But now at the DCU, is it still seeing a lot of stuff coming? It kind of tapered off a little bit, hasn't
No,
it?
they got a lot going on. They've got besides the concerts, which I just recently learned, and I was surprised. We have a women's hockey team. That's now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Worcester. We've got
A
the.
professional hockey
Yeah,
team?
we've got a.
Oh, isn't that something?
We've got the indoor football.
I know. Well,
That's
I
played
know the owner of that, the team family.
Okay, and I think the women's hockey is over on the new ice skating rink. So that's
Oh,
right in that area.
okay.
I'm trying to think. There's yeah.
Of course, the
there's-
rail is,
The railers are there.
yeah.
Yeah. But they've had a lot of concert. They've had several conventions or conferences there recently. So I think it's doing well.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's a good draw for a city.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah.
And then, of course, the Hanover's, that's a great place. It gets some good shows there.
No, it is. If you think back, well, we'll remember this. But going in there to when it was the Showcase Cinema and the
Yes.
different movies.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'll say, and now to see this beautiful restored.
I know, it's beautiful inside.
Yeah.
It did really super job.
Yeah. I remember watching movies in there and hearing my parents talk about, oh yeah, behind this are these old theaters. They used to have shows here.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Now, they've gotten to make, was it Portland Street look a little better.
There were actually, don't you say that the street between the Federal Building and the Hanover Theater.
Yes.
That actually is gonna be gone.
Oh,
It's gonna be, that's gonna be made into like a little park right there. So they've, I think we've appropriated, $1 million. I think it's $1 million or maybe 1.5 million for a lot of streetscape work done in that area. So they're gonna try to make that more conducive to, people coming in and, even like there's talk about trying to get a restaurant over that way.
oh, okay, between the Federal Building and the Hanover?
Yeah,
Yeah, a little, but isn't that it's a great way to come in too, isn't it?
well, it's now gonna be,
I know it's a little, gets a little congested with the traffic, of course, the light there, but
yeah, so they're gonna be that's gonna be redesigned.
remember when they used to print the Telegram and Gazette back there,
Yeah.
you'd walk behind the building there and you see the press is rolling, and that's gone.
Yep, the TNG's gone, yep. Yeah, you got Quincy College there.
Yeah.
And you got a couple new restaurants.
Oh, Becker's down there. Becker took over the building where WCRN was in,
Okay,
right on the corner, right near the library.
all right, yes, you're right. Yep.
But they,
And then you got right, and just to the, if you're looking at that building that you're talking about, to the
Yes.
right now, you've got like a little open area
yes,
seating for, you got 2 restaurants that are there, the beer garden and something else.
yeah, Paris Cinema used to be in there.
Yeah.
That was, well, at one time it was an upscale theater, then it went to the porn
Now, see,
level.
I don't ever remember the upscale part.
Back in the '70s, early '70s.
Really?
Yeah, my wife and I went there and we saw oh my God, I can't, Exorcist, when it first came out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't,
And I'll go back even further than that. I went out with a girl lived off of Lincoln Street, on Sturgis Street in Worcester, and we used to go. That was the Capitol Theater.
oh, see, that's, now you've gone beyond me.
Yeah, you had the Capitol, the Warner, the Lowell's, all the big entertainment companies had their own theaters, and we know it was good. We could go there. My day off from work was Tuesdays. I worked part-time in the supermarket, and on Tuesday was our day off. I would take the bus into Worcester, and we'd go sit in the theater. You buy one ticket, and you sit there for the whole day into the night, up in the balcony. Oh, hey, we're off the air. Look at that, how,
Oh,
God. Hey,
so we're done?
oh, well, we're still taping,
Oh.
so we can go right till the end.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was all theaters around there. I remember the old Front Street. I bought my first guitar at a pawn shop on
You had,
Pine.
you had Foothills Theater?
Yeah,
over
well,
there.
I was in the Centrum. I mean the Galleria.
Yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was, but I go back before the Galleria. I used to get the bus. There was a bus station right down there on the corner. That corner's gone. It was a corner of Front Street and I can't think of it, Portland Street or something. I don't know. Came up along the church, which is gone.
Yeah,
But the whole city has changed so much.
yeah, if you really look at, I mean, you go back 10 years. If you go back 10
Yeah.
years to now.
If you came here after living here 10 years ago, came back, you wouldn't know your way around.
Right, yeah. The
Yeah.
whole area is completely changed.
Yeah. They got to clean up the park though, the common. The homeless are.
Well, they're trying, you know,
I know.
they really are trying. They've, you know, they got the mounted patrol that's in there.
Yep. It's a problem in all cities.
Yeah. And I think the only way you're gonna clean up is you got address the substance abuse issue.
Right. Well, thank you for coming in, Senator.
No, thank you. Again, I apologize for being late, but this was a
Yeah,
this was a
we're
great
gonna do this again.
conversation.
Great. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good time.
Yeah, this is nice.
Okay, we'll see you next time on About the Valley.